G'day, it's Jacob, and we are going to talk about the way you do things, the way you go through life, how it happens automatically, and how you can switch it around to save yourself from boredom and save yourself from blowing up your life, shaking it up too much just because you've reached a certain level of success and now things don't seem to be working anymore. So, what we will do, we're going to go through how you've been going through life and how most people do, and then how to flip it around. So we start at the bottom. All right, so we're looking at a pyramid here. So we're looking at the bottom, and down the bottom we have the environment. Now, our environment is everything in the 3D world. Right, so this is all of our results. This is the car we drive, the house we live in, the relationships we have, the metrics within your business. So how many leads you have coming in, what kind of conversion rate they have, what kind of money hits the bank accounts each month for your business. So this is the bottom. This is where we start. Beyond that, we have our actions. These are the things that we do every day. They're our habits. They're you set your alarm for this time in the morning. You get up, you do this, you get to work at this time, and then you check your emails. And these are all the things that we do. And again, these are in the 3D world. The actions that we have feed into the results that we get. This is nothing new, right? It makes sense. So all that we've talked about so far is in the 3D world. Above this blue line, we're getting into the internal, into the 4D. So in the mind, the subconscious, the conscious. All right. So above the blue line, first step we have is skills and knowledge. The skills and knowledge that we have, they, funnily enough, are what our actions are based on. If you're an architect but you don't know how to draw, you're not an architect. So you need to know how to do all of the architecture things before then you can do the actions of an architect. Make sense, right? The skills and the knowledge, because they're internal, these are things that we can work on. They're things that you can learn. You can learn how to do this, how to do that. You can learn how things work, and you can see how what you do in the world makes the difference. So these ones above actions, they're the big drivers of the actions, right? Now, above that, we have our beliefs. Our beliefs tend to be formed between the ages of 0 and 7. This is when we are really young and impressionable. So we end up watching our parents, watching our teachers, and watching our preachers, all of the people who are important in our lives and who have authority. We tend to watch them and learn from them. We learn about the world and about life. So if your parents have a beautiful, loving relationship, then you are likely to have healthier beliefs as you grow up around love and relationships. If you come from a wealthy family, then the beliefs around money and wealth are going to be much more abundance based. Whereas if you grew up in poverty, then there's going to be a lot more angst in those beliefs. You'll believe things about money, you'll believe things about rich people, you'll believe things about poor people, and they will shift how you learn about the world and then how you act in the world and what results you get, right? That all makes sense, yeah? Beyond the beliefs, though, what sits behind that is our identity. our self-image. Now, the thing about self-image and identity is that we will never act against the way we see ourselves. If you see yourself as unlovable, then you are going to believe that you're unlovable. And your social skills will end up suffering as a result of that belief. The actions that you take in the world will be a reflection of the skills that you've learned, all based on being unlovable. And then as a result, even if you get close to people and things are going really well, you will end up, because you believe you're unlovable, you will end up sabotaging your relationship. This is the same sort of deal for anything though. So as soon as you believe that you are fat and lazy and you are destined to be fat and lazy forever, then the same pattern plays out. That because you see yourself that way, you believe certain things about the world, about you learn certain skills, how to make the most amazing burgers, but you'll never learn how to do a perfect chin-up. And then that feeds into the actions and then the results, which is that if you believe and see yourself as fat and lazy, then that's exactly what you end up being. The way the world works, all right, so I said that we'd come to this, right? What we tend to do is we tend to work our way up, all right? So we think that when we have the money, when we have the relationship, maybe the car, whatever it is, when the world reflects certain things, then I will act a certain way. I'll do certain things. Once I have that, then I'll have the skills and then the beliefs, and then I'll be happy. When you see it actually written out like that, though, you can see that it makes no sense, right? Why would the universe give you all of the results before you've reached this, before you believe that you're worthy of it, before you believe that the world will be able to provide it? Why would you have the skills to hold on to your money and hold on to your relationships if you don't actually believe that you're worthy of them yet? What we have on this left side as we work our way up to happiness, if we're working on this side, working our way up, we're working with unworthiness. These are the fundamental beliefs that hold us back, the fundamental self-images and self-identity that hold us in this state of not having the world give us what we want, which is why we always go after that next shiny object. It's why when we get to a certain age and we've reached a certain level of success, for some reason, we're still not happy. And because we're still not happy, we think that we need to change something. And we're right. But instead of doing something productive and pushing through, so say we've reached a certain level of success over our career, we get to a certain point, we start getting bored. We start getting fed up with not being as happy and fulfilled as what we think we should be. We've got two options. We can either change the way we show up in the world and break through that plateau, or what happens most of the time, and it turns into a cliche, is we end up sabotaging ourselves and blowing our lives up. This is where we have the affair, poor investments, we buy the convertible, and the typical midlife crisis. This is a result of not being happy and not having a clear self-image and a clear strategy on how to change the way you've been showing up. What if we do flip it the other way around, though? What if we do start going, all right, we're going to work on our self-image first, the way you see yourself. And then we start working on, all right, well, who do I see myself as? Instead of being an overworked, a workaholic who's let his health suffer, who's let his family drift away, and there's only so much damage those relationships can take before they break. Instead of being that guy, who do I want to be instead? Then once we've got that, then we can start working on what do I need to believe about myself and about the world? What skills do I need to have to be able to, that's a brain, what do I need to do? How do I need to change the way my mind works so that I can show up as the star at work in a way that doesn't require me to be there all the time, and I can also end up being a star at home. And well, you know what it's like at home. You don't necessarily want to be the star. You want to let your kids shine. You want to lift your family up. And key reason why you'd be watching this video is you want to spend more time with your family. So you want to show up differently. Once you start acting a certain way as a result of the way you've been believing and the way you've been thinking, what skills and knowledge you've been adding, then you start getting the love, the money, all of the things that have always seemed like so much hard work because of the way you're showing up instead. Now, what is it that stops us from running down this way? A big part of it is that this is you as a black dot. A big part of it is that up until now, you've stayed within this safe zone. This is the comfort zone. Everything within is safe because it's known. Everything outside of this is unknown and unsafe. The mind is fantastic at keeping you within here. Even if your comfort zone, everything within the comfort zone is not that comfortable for your ego, for your mind, at least it's safe. I mean, it might be uncomfortable, but you're still here, right? So it's got an element of safety to it. And as soon as you step beyond that comfort zone, then there's the risk that suddenly, who are you going to be? The brain The ego doesn't want to even consider it, because if you start being someone else, who is that person going to be? Is it going to be safe? Are you going to be able to survive? We don't live in a particularly dangerous world. Of course you're going to be able to survive, but that's not the way we're wired, is it? So fear is what keeps you in here. Fear is that barrier. Fear is what keeps you working the way you always have, instead of going the way you want to go. Now, the work that I do with my one-on-one clients is that we actually work with your fear. In my profile, I've got Fear Hunter as one of my labels, one of my titles, because once we hunt down this fear and we start to neutralize it and weaken it and see it for what it really is, then we get to be able to work through your fear. And there will always be an element of fear, but we can't go around it. The only way to change things is to go through the fear. And the way that we do that is to minimize it, make it softer, make the edges of this fear less sharp, less harmful, less painful. Like, can you see how when you change the way you see yourself, you'll be able to change the way you think and see the world, and you'll be able to change the way you show up at home and work, and get those relationships back on track? This is the work that I do. This is what I work on with my clients. We get through the fear, and then we start to, bit by bit, change how you show up in the world and change the results you get as a result of changing how you show up. If you would like to work with me, click the button below. There'll be an application form, and then we can book a call to see if we're a good fit. I'm in this to create new leaders, to create leaders in this world who are happy with their lives and who live lives that are inspiring, not to just them, but to their children, to their colleagues. You want people to go, man, I knew that guy. And I help you turn into that guy, the version of you that you wish you were. So click the book now button or the call now button underneath here, fill in the application form, and I will speak to you soon. Cheers.